It's time for another episode of All Right Bet. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome back. It's time for this week's episode of All Right Bet. If you listen to part one over on the podcast, wherever you guys are listening to podcasts, Apple Pod, Spotify, wherever you're finding it, thanks for following us over here. You're starting to get the hang of this thing. Part two, always coming in on YouTube live with the guest picker and my co-host, Andy St. Clair. What's up, Andy? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you? How do you sound?
I think I sound okay.
Okay.
I think everything sounds okay.
Okay.
Little issue with the headset, man. So I was hoping we weren't going to get any echo reverb, but I don't think we are, man. But
I say we just lean into it. We just reverb every day. We just reverb every week.
Well, that's what my wife says anyway. But
yeah, mine too.
Right. All right. Well, hey, man. Listen, red hot last week. You were feeling it. You said you were going to be it. And you were all about it. Put up a score last week that I don't think anybody's going to be able to touch the rest of the season. I mean, that is a tough one. You went 6-0 and +2 on the over-under. I mean, unbelievable, brother. Unbelievable.
Thank you. You know, I think I had a good feel for the NFL for sure. Like I even said going in, I'm like, this is the week we're going to get back. You know, some weeks I think just kind of pop up. And you're like, yes, you can kind of see it. This is not one of those weeks in the NFL for me. I can already tell you that. But I was just thinking about this. Like, you know, college. I always find it a little harder for me, and I think it's because it goes against my instincts a little more. I think in college you have to play the favorites a little more. Yeah, and that to me is the hardest part about college.
So, yeah, because you feel like they're not going to cover those blowouts, man, but they do.
They do. They do. They do. So I'm happy that it worked out last week. Hey, and we'll get another 6-0. Well, you know, we're gonna keep
well, you were all over it, man. I went 3-3, -2 on the over/under again. Not doing well on the over/unders, but my man Aqua, star of Psycho Storm Chasers, there, he was more like Psycho Score Chaser, man. He was 1-5. Yeah, 1-5. But here's where he helped out the guest pickers on the season total. My man went +2 on the over-unders.
There you go.
So that's a tiebreaker. Could come back and bite us in the ass at the end of the year here, man. But we'll see. So he did his part a little bit there, man. He did
helped out a little bit.
A little bit. So, hey, totals for the season right now, you're at 15-9, -4. I'm at 14-10, -10 on the over-unders. Hope that tiebreaker don't come into play. And the guest pickers are at 13-11, -2. So this week we got an awesome guest picker this week, man. This guy, USFL, playing for my Michigan Panthers. I'm gonna bring him in right now. It's my man Cole Murphy. Cole, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Ah, man, this is great. So, listen, when you got picked up by the Michigan Panthers, I was excited because that was my team growing up in Detroit. I remember, like, I was a little kid, but I remember, like, I think it was either the first or second season for the USFL, they won the championship.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've got a long history of good sports in Detroit. I think we just got to keep it rolling. That's going to be the biggest thing for us. I think even with a lot of mishaps this last year and a half, I think we have a lot of pieces that if we put it together, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Now last year you finished second in the North, and you make the playoffs. And in the first round of the playoffs, you guys wind up getting the top seed, the Maulers from Pittsburgh, right? Now, the end of the game, you guys are trailing by 3 and you're in it. You hit a 47-yarder as the clock expires to send that thing into overtime. How'd that feel, man?
That's right. Yeah, I was pretty hyped up. It was funny, too, because they tried to ice me. And, after you do this for so long, it is almost just kind of boring. Like, you already know, okay, I'm going to get iced. Got to do my stuff. They're going to call a timeout, and I'm going to have 30 seconds, and I just got to walk around and, like, just kind of be preoccupied with something else. But, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to send it into overtime.
Me neither, man. 47-yarder pressure kick, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and, it's actually pretty crazy. In the last 2 years, my shortest missed field goal, I think, is 48. So I've been doing pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, you've been killing it. Here, I got a little something for us right here. This is a good highlight of yours right here. Let's see this.
From 60. Good snap, good hold. The kick on the line. Does it have the distance? It does! From 60 yards, Cole Murphy puts 3 on the board to close the half.
All right, let's take another look at this thing in slow motion. Good snap, good hold, bam, into the night sky. Look at the distance, man. And that thing looks like it barely crosses, but check it out from this angle. It's good by a mile. Look at the returner's disappointed from the side view. Oh, the distance from a few more, easy. Hey, that's a heck of a kick. That thing was good from probably like 63, 64, huh?
Oh, I was even saying that. I was on mute. I was like, that had 7 more yards. That fell at 66, 67.
I know.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I tell you what, I started red hot when I got there. I mean, I think that was my 3rd field goal of the game. The previous ones were 49 and like 27. But that was my 3rd game there. I mean, I had really still was pretty green going into it. It was really my 2nd game with my holder, Kyle Kramer, and he's one of my really good friends. I really love that guy. And it's kind of funny. People on the field, because body shape wise we're identical, they think I'm Kyle, they think he's me. It's hilarious. And he was so excited when I made the kick. He shoved me and knocked me on my ass. And I had to get back up really quick. Yeah, I like when you see me getting back up, I'm like, oh my God, I just made that kick. But the week before he did something similar. He hit me when I hit a 50, I think it was a 57 or 56. Same thing, he gave me a shove and I kind of like was expecting it and I caught myself. This one with the 60, I wasn't. I turned around and he had already kind of got me. And yeah, tuck and roll.
You gotta tell him knock that off, man.
It's something I always wonder when like kickers kick a big field goal like that. Like dudes lay them out, man. They just come like straight up headbutts, pushing. I'm like, guys, be careful. We need this guy, Like just, damn, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, true. Well, I mean, I'm a little bit more of a football player in terms of body style. I'm like 6'4", 230. I can make a tackle. I can take a hit. So it's a little more common, but I also like I can kind of handle it. At least I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, let me show you a quick clip of my favorite part of that field goal. And it's the returner. They got a guy back there like, we're running this back. This thing ain't coming in. And when a guy's mouthpiece comes out, he's done playing football, and this guy's does. Let's check that out.
Yeah.
Right there. He's like, no, you're good. That's good. You're good.
Yeah, he pointed at you.
He gave you the heads up, like, man, nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And also, it was going into the half, too. So right after that, we're hauling into the locker room right afterwards. And I had to sit down and kind of like recollect myself because, you got like 10, 15 minutes with the halftime and, all that stuff. But, yeah, it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I had to like run back out at halftime and kind of get everything reconfigured because I was so hyped up.
Right.
You don't get many chances like that. So.
No, man, that was great. That was awesome. What's it like playing for Jeff Fisher? He's been pretty happy with you. I know that, though. Jeff
is the man. I really love Jeff. I mean, he's given me more chances than anybody I've ever known. And it's funny. I knew Jeff before the USFL. When I was in the AAF, I was with I was with San Diego in San Antonio. And he was kind of a liaison for the league, and he used to come to practices all the time. And I would sit and talk with him. And the first couple times I talked with him, I didn't know it was Jeff Fisher. I just knew he was Jeff. And so we were sitting there talking, and he was like, oh yeah, I've been like around the league a little bit and this and that. And he'd walk away, and I was with my punter and snapper, and I'm like, oh, he's a really cool guy. And they're like, you're so stupid. That's Jeff Fisher.
That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then maybe like 3-ish months before the USFL season even started, I actually had a workout with him down in San Diego with Nick Novak. And he was looking primarily for kind of combo guys. You could tell he was looking a little bit more for punters and kickers, but I still went down there just to, work out, see if I can give it a shot. And it was funny that one of the first things he did was he walked up to everybody. He's like, I hope you know, like, you need to throw. You got to be able to throw, and like you got to be an athlete. I don't want just a kicker or just a punter. I want somebody who can throw routes. I want somebody who can execute fakes. You got to be able to do it all. So it was pretty cool, especially considering my first game that I actually played, we ran a fake. It was my first ever fake, and we got it. It was like 4th and 6 or 7 on a punt. and I threw it to our PP, Cam Scarlett, and he went up the edge and got the first down.
Oh, yeah, because we're about to see it right now. Here we go.
And Mike, as you know well, former quarterback in you, it's difficult to read that 3-4 and know who's coming.
Absolutely.
And who's dropping. Fake, Cole Murphy. Touch pass to Cam Scarlett. Great call and better execution. Murphy to Scarlett, gain of 7. First down.
They're right there in the flat. Again, your new kicker punter, okay? Not punter kicker. Your new kicker punter throws a nice touch pass out there to Scarlett. Your new kicker punter quarterback. Kicker punter quarterback. There you go.
That's it. He laid it out. Kicker, punter, quarterback. You said it, man.
Yep. It's funny too, because the whole week, like literally the first day I got there, he's like, "Hey, we're working on a fake," and it was my first period with the whole team and everything. I'm like, okay. So we're doing the fake, and he keeps telling me, "You got to put it on a line to him because it's going to close pretty quickly. You got to get the ball to him." So the whole week I had been putting the ball on a line to Cam, and then we go into the game, and as you can see on that play, I turn and I look, and he's already covered up. So I'm like, oh crap! I actually got to throw it over the top. And I got lucky. He had to kind of turn back and get it. But, yeah, I mean, we made it work, and it was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, you
awesome.
dropped that thing right in the bucket. It was like, beep, right in there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The other question I had, but I saw it on the video, so I felt much better about it, was the mustache on Fish. I wanted to see what Coach Fisher was doing with his mustache now, and it still looks good.
He's rocking it, man.
He's got a good mustache.
He does. He does.
He's Fish always looking good on TV, man. He's got the hair cleaned up a little bit more now, but he's got the mustache still.
But he's one of those men in the world. If you were making like a top 20 list of guys who look good with a mustache, like Coach Fisher's probably on that list.
He's one of those guys. He can pull it off. I can't pull it off. I've tried before, and every time I try it, my girlfriend looks at me and she's like, "Get rid of it. It looks awful."
For sure.
Fellas, there's a lot of guys out there right now trying to pull off this mustache, and it looks terrible. Rogers, Kelsey looks like a police officer you don't want to get pulled over by.
The problem with Kelsey is his hair's too short, right? His hair's too short with a mustache. Like Coach Fisher has those beautiful locks, right?
Yeah, he's got the flow.
Like Kelsey's got his hair like he shaved his head. He looks like like De Niro in Taxi Driver, or De Niro, like he just looks like he's a crazy character.
He looked like he just checked into Paris Island, man. That's right.
He was legendary for his look. Like his thing at practice every single day, he'd show up in either like a short sleeve button down in jeans and sandals, or like a Panthers shirt in jeans and sandals. But it was always, no matter what, either light blue jeans or cut up jeans and sandals.
That is
and I don't blame him. I mean, in Birmingham, it's hot. We're at practice and it's like 100 with the humidity and we're on turf. Like, I totally get it. But then all of a sudden I start looking back and I'm like, man, he does that a lot.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. Well, it's awesome to see you killing it with the USFL this year, man. And, not far from Birmingham now. So I'm getting out to a game this year. We're going to come check one out, no doubt, man. I'll be in touch about that. One of the main reasons that you're on the show this week as the guest picker is a big game this weekend. We got Syracuse, North Carolina. Now, we're going to get to that. But before we get to that, you had a storied career at Syracuse kicking, man. I mean, you went in as a freshman and we're starting right away, right?
Yeah. When I got recruited, basically, it was by Robbie Gould's little brother, Chris Gould, who now is with the Chargers. And his nickname is Beep, and I owe Beep a lot. I mean, he kind of found me. I wasn't getting recruited really. I was kind of looking at like Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, maybe NAU. I didn't really have any big offers coming in. And when Beep found me, I actually didn't even know where Syracuse was, to be quite honest. I mean, being a Southern California kid that is mainly a soccer player, I didn't know Syracuse was upstate New York. And my dad's from Nebraska. And when I told him, hey, like Syracuse called me, my dad freaked out because Syracuse beat number 1 ranked Nebraska in 1983 or 82, something like that. And he was like, they're giant killers. You got to go. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And to be able to go in there right away and compete, I got lucky. We had a senior that was coming back who he had hip surgery. It was still kind of bugging him, and he decided to retire. He literally retired 2 days before I got there. And so I showed up and I'm like, well, where's Ross Crotman? And they go, well, he's not going to be here anymore. So kind of the job was basically open. It was me and Ryan Norton competing for the most part, and Ryan had been there for 2 years. But yeah, I mean, I walked in there and I executed, and I was fortunate enough to have such an experienced specialist as a coach to kind of get me prepared. Like I've always been the power guy. I've never had a problem with power, and once I got there, Beep showed me how to be consistent, how to be, how to get things done the right way, not just hitting it really hard. And so I started on kickoffs in the first couple games. We go into week 3 against Maryland, and it's the first game that my parents actually come to. They flew all the way in from LA, and right before half, we went for a 44-yarder, and there was a false start. And Ryan Norton hadn't been doing all that well. I think he was like 3 for 7 at that point, maybe 3 for 8. And without them really telling me, they'd already kind of planned, like if it's a longer kick, they're going to give it to me. So penalty happens. We back up 5 yards. It's 49 yards. And they end up screaming for me. And I'm like, oh, crap, where's my helmet? I didn't think I was going in. I thought I was getting ready for kickoff. So, went out there and hit my first field goal. And after that, the rest was history. I never missed a rep for Syracuse.
Wow. Yeah, man. Like 4-year starter, starting as a freshman. That's rare for a kicker. That's like do quarterbacks kicks. You don't start like that. 4 years there. Your senior year, number 1 in the ACC, 20 field goals, right? I mean, that's a great senior season. And by the time you're done with your career, you're 19th all time in the ACC for attempted field goals, ahead of guys like Mike Kofer, Sebastian Janikowski. That's pretty good career, man. That's pretty damn good.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool. Actually, I didn't know that I was 19th in the ACC history. It's cool that you found that.
Yeah, I looked that up. 19th in field goal attempts in the ACC history, man. That is pretty damn cool. And now at the end of that year, it's 2018 draft coming around. You don't get drafted, but you end up with a stint with the Arizona Cardinals, right? How'd that go?
Yeah. So I started off, originally I got picked up by the AAF. Dave Bowler, who was their GM, who now is actually with the XFL, called me and he had said, hey, I saw you didn't get picked up at all, but we know how good you are. Do you want to come out and play? And I said, yeah, sure. So I ended up going there. Didn't really work out. So I went back home, trained for about 3 months. And we were training for Gary Zahner's free agent combine. It's kind of the big combine of the year for specialists. And basically, like, a bad year for Zahner is having like 28 teams there out of 32. Like almost everybody comes every year. And that's not all with the expectation of, 28 signings or 30 signings. It's usually maybe 1 or 2, but it's so everybody can up their lists. All the good GMs, all the better special teams coordinators are there. And they're in person getting evaluation of these guys. Cause not a lot of these guys get to go to the combine. They don't get to go to every pro day. So it really lets them kind of see one, who's still out there, right, after a year, because sometimes guys don't get picked up and then they just decide I'm going to go, live my adult life. So I went out there. I ended up winning the whole combine. We were at Arizona State in their indoor, and did really well. We went back to 64, I believe, was my last kick. Essentially, when you go through this combine, when you miss, you're out, and you start with like 35 guys. And you whittle your way down to, 2 or 3 by the end of the day. Yeah, pretty much. And if you make it to, I can't remember what yardage it is, they give you 1 mulligan. So if you get to like 55, 57, 58, they'll say, hey, if you miss 1, you have to go again immediately afterwards, but you've got to make it to keep going. Then once that's done, then you're done.
Gotcha.
So, so I went back to like 64, I believe, and did pretty well. I actually didn't even get to talk to Arizona after the combine. I talked to like Cleveland. I think I talked to Indianapolis, and I want to say the Jets. So, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, cool. I did well at the combine. I didn't really know how it was going to go. And then the next morning I get a phone call, and it's from their special teams coach. And basically just said, hey, are you still in Phoenix? Because we want to bring you in for a physical. You haven't had a physical for a year. And me being as green as I was, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay, yeah, you're going to give me a physical just to make sure that I'm still healthy. Yeah, that's fine. So I drive over, and I was supposed to leave at like 8:30 in the morning to get back to California at like, 4:30, 5, something like that. I ended up staying in Phoenix until like, I think 5 or 6 in the afternoon.
Oh no, man.
That's
emergency.
Okay.
Everybody's phone's going on. Everybody, you guys looking at it, all of us. What a man. What a bummer
No,
there.
that's mine.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Emergency broadcast system.
Everybody's.
I think it's a false alarm now.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's
just
a
a
false
test, you
alarm.
guys. Call it a test. It's Cole's next, I assume.
Yeah, yours is going to go off too.
And that is a.
Oh, you're on mute now, I think.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good now. Yep.
There we go.
Well, a crisis avoided there. So you were saying that they kept you there all day, huh?
Yeah, so I was there. I went to like 4 different doctor's offices, and I was driving all the way across Phoenix, and I was like, what is this? Like, I don't understand what the hell's going on here, because I was doing a lot of different tests. Like, I figured it was going to be like, the turn cough, they do a couple of vials of blood, and then you're done. And it was like, I was doing stuff for like hours and hours, and I was like, this is a lot. As we got later in the day, I'm getting more phone calls from Arizona, and by the end of it, my agent had said, if you pass all your physicals, they're going to sign you. And I was like, oh, that's great. Very cool. So we go to the end of the day. I signed the contract. I'm in there. And I think it was actually the first day you were allowed to sign guys. Or it might have been like the day after, something like that. And I actually, if I remember correctly, I actually think I was Cliff Kingsbury's first signing at the Cardinals.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, that's awesome, man. And then, training camp, and then they end up letting you go toward the end of training camp there. And then that led to heading to the USFL. There was some stuff in between there or what?
In 2019, after I got let go, I kind of figured, I'm like, okay, well, I did well at this combine. I just signed a contract. I'm going to be in the circuit for workouts. Like, I kind of figured it was a no-brainer. And realistically, I didn't get any workouts. I didn't know kind of what happened. I was kind of like, well, what are we missing here? What do I need to do? And truthfully, I just didn't really get any phone calls. So I go through 2019 season, had nothing. Then we go into COVID, and 2020 happens, and I actually thought it was going to be a better opportunity for me to get some workouts, because the way that they did it in COVID, they expanded the practice squad roster because they knew guys were going in and out with being sick and missing a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. And so I thought, okay, well, they'll probably keep a kicker on just in case you can do both. And so we'll see how it goes. And then kind of the same thing, really didn't hear much. I went through the spring league. I was in Indianapolis for about 6 weeks. And then, came back home, continued to train. I was working with John Carney down in San Diego and Nick Novak. And then, just doing combines every once in a while. I did Zonners a couple times. I did a couple of Carney's free agent combines where teams come out, and it's not as big as Zonners, but it's, there's still some teams there. Usually you get 7, 8, 9, 10 teams out there just kind of watching. They're kind of up in their lists. And I had to stay patient. I mean, it's one of those things where I didn't know what was going to happen. And in all honesty too, I didn't really feel like I was quite ready. I feel like I needed some more refinement to get better. And between 2019 and 2021, I really didn't have that much going on. Just training, driving 250 miles every other day to go work with some guys, and just kind of waiting to see what happens. And that was when I was working with Nolan over at Calabasas, and doing all that stuff. And then we went into kind of the XFL happened. Then the USFL decided they were going to come back right before the Rocket announced he was buying the XFL and all that stuff. And so going into 2022, they'd done a couple combines for the USFL, and I really didn't know what to expect, because you don't know roster sizes, you don't know who's like how they're going to do the payments, you don't know anything. Plus, with all these spring leagues like the AAF and UFL and all these different leagues, they've all kind of folded with after a year. So we really weren't sure what was going to happen. We were just kind of like, all right, just be ready just in case. And so I went through the USFL Combine, and I actually did pretty well. I placed probably top 2 or 3 at the Combine. But one thing I didn't do was, on my registration, I didn't check myself off as a punter. I had just said I'm a kicker that can punt, not necessarily a kicker and a punter. So when they first started doing all the rosters and all that kind of stuff, initially they were looking for guys that could do both, because the rosters were more limited. So so I didn't get picked up right away, and I actually was watching the USFL draft live. I was watching it for, I don't know how many hours it was. It was probably 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And they go to the specialist portion, which is the very last piece. And, for the most part of that draft, they had gone pick by pick by pick, right? Then all of a sudden we get into the specialist portion and there's like a 15-minute gap and there's no like update of what's happening. You don't see who's getting picked, nothing. And then all of a sudden, all at the same time, bam, all the teams had already picked their guys. And I wasn't one of the guys. And I remember like sitting in my car watching it going, oh my God, wow, I can't believe I didn't get picked up. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially considering how well I'd done at the combine.
Right.
Daryl Johnston, the president of the league, is a Syracuse alum who I had been pretty friendly with. And I had talked to a couple GMs and they all liked my stuff. But I guess because I didn't check both boxes or, whatever it was, then unfortunately I wasn't really in the league's mind capable of, fulfilling both duties. So it's a bummer, but, it just kind of happens.
Yeah, but then it lands you where you're at right now. And it's one of those classic stories that you hear all the time about guys that just like, you don't give up on it. You're still driving 250 miles, training with Carney, getting ready. Poster child for if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. You know what I mean? And then they bring you in and throw you right into the mix and in the middle of a game. Like, this guy's done. You go kick it, see what happens. And it sounds like from everything you said along the line, man, like every time you've had money kick, you make it. The Syracuse kick, you make it, you take the job. You're at the combine where you're placed number one. Your last kick, 64 yards. Everybody in the NFL's watching. You make it. Boom, yeah, made it. Bam. You know what I mean? They bring you into Panthers, they throw you in there. Hey, see what this kid's got. Boom, you make it. Boom, it's your job. It's like your money, cold money, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, actually. I don't even know where this came from, but somewhere along the lines of season 1, my nickname had become Money Murphy. And I'm like, I don't know who coined that term, but all of a sudden my older brother calls me one day and he calls me that. And I'm like, what the hell? What's Money Murphy? And he was like, dude, everybody's calling you that. Like, even like my little nieces, they're watching me on TV and they go, oh, there's Money Murphy.
Nice.
And I'm like, where did this come from? But
you got to get the merch going, man. You got to get some shirts going on that thing, man.
Oh, man, that's not a bad
idea.
idea.
like $sign, like somehow incorporated into your name. Like, I don't know, like the M. I'm not sure where we could do it. But.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Like the $sign line.
Yeah.
Like in there.
Get in there.
That'd be kind of cool. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. But yeah, listen, I got to thank you as well, man. Cause like while you were doing all that training and stuff, and then, like you said, Nolan, my son Nolan, he's senior in high school, trying to get picked up himself, trying to get some offers and things. And you would call him up, hey, going to work out with some guys today. If you want to get some snaps in with some good guys, come meet us out there, snap for us and stuff. And that was a huge help to him, man. So thank you for that. He's doing well. He's in college kicking at Grambling State. He's doing great. He's not kicking. He's the snapper, but he's setting up kicks down there. But, that was awesome. I always appreciate you doing that, man. Let's jump into some picks. Let's see what you think this weekend about some NCAA football, guys. First up on the docket, we got Oklahoma at Texas. Okay. Texas is laying 6.5. The over-under is 60. And let's just start right with you, Cole. What do you think?
I'm taking Texas, plain and simple. First off, my dad's from Nebraska. We hate Oklahoma. So I've already got a little bit of a bias there. But Texas is rolling. They look really, really good. I know they're specialists over there. They're really good dudes. They're really, really capable. And the team overall looks really good. So yeah, I'm gonna take the over, and I'm gonna take Texas.
Taking the over and Texas. Andy, where you landing on this one, man?
What is the over under in this game?
Is 60.
60, you said.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I love this game. It's a game of the day for sure. Red River, right? Let me just read you guys briefly who Texas has played their opposing quarterbacks, right? So here it is. It's like 6-year JT Daniels. Look, not great. He's on like his 15th team. He's been in college. He was like his 7th year when Cole was a freshman in college. Like JT Daniels been there is my basic point. Then they probably played Bama's worst quarterback in the last 15 or 20 years. And not a bad quarterback. Bama's had a lot of good quarterbacks, but just Bama's worst one. Then they played Wyoming's backup quarterback. Then they played Baylor's backup quarterback. And they played Kansas's backup quarterback. Now, I say all that to say they really haven't played a good quarterback yet, right? Like, I haven't played a quarterback who's decent at all. Like that Kansas quarterback last week would be problems. He's a kid's kind of good, but look, you can't blame Texas. They're playing who's ever in front of them. That's the thing. Whoever wins this game is going to have a pretty nice little run to get into the Final Four there, I think, because the schedule is pretty kind for both teams after this. So it's a tough one. It's hard for me not to take the dog in this game. But my instincts are telling me just take Texas. Texas is going to win. Sark's got him. I like Ewers. He's good. I was down on Oklahoma coming into this year. I was taking the under on their win total. They're kind of sticking it to me. So I'm gonna stick with what I believe, which I believe Oklahoma's not very good. And I'm not a huge fan of that coach, Venables or whatever. I was like, he's not great. So I am also going to take Texas. I can't believe I'm taking like a 7-point favorite, but I am. And then I'm going to take the over.
You take the over in this one?
Slam
What's
dunk.
that?
That over is a slam dunk. There's no way the score is 24-21. Somebody wins it. No way.
Yeah, well, you don't know, man. You don't know in this one. I'm going to tell you, you got two teams that are heading to the SEC next year, right? Okay, like you already said, man, Red River Shootout. This is classic. This is a rivalry. Both undefeated. This is a big one. Now, in the beginning of the year, Okie starts out. They blow out a decent Arkansas State team 73-0. You think they're the real deal. Their next bunch of games in a row, man, they got a bunch of close ones. They cool right off. They beat SMU 28-11. They beat Cincy 20-6. I mean, they cooled off. Now, I think last week they bombed a down Iowa State team, so maybe they're back on track. But like you brought up, Andy, Texas opponents, now they may not have been playing the best quarterbacks, but they've been playing good football teams. I mean, you and I have said on the show before, Rice, they're a decent team this year. They ain't great, but that's a good football team. That's not bringing in the Akron Zips, disrespect to them. But I'm just saying, and then they waxed Bama. I was at that game. They dominated them up front both ways. They waxed Bama. They beat a good Wyoming team in Wyoming after trailing, right? And then they beat Baylor's down. They beat them. And then they beat Kansas. They don't have a patsy in there. Those are all competent football teams at worst, right? So both these teams are extremely identical, 500 yards total offense, giving up 300 yards a game on defense. But listen, I think you got to give the nod to the team that's the most tested, the team that has adapted to being able to play in the SEC quicker. And I'm with you guys. That's the home team, man. I'm going Texas, laying the 6.5, but I'm going against you guys here. I'm taking the under in this game. It's a rivalry. I think there's going to be some shutdown moments. I don't know.
Yeah, but when it's like 21-14 with like 10 minutes to go in the second, just text me. That was a bad pick on the under.
Yeah, my phone will be blowing up. You want off that pick right now, don't you, buddy? I know it. He always gives me like that call. He texts me in the middle of the day. Oh, buddy, you want off that one? I'm like, yeah, it's too late. They don't give you your money back. So, no. All right, let's roll into the next one here. We got LSU. Andy, this one's for you. Now, Andy's from Missouri, big Missouri guy. We got LSU at Missouri. Missouri is the dog here. They're getting 6.5 points, and the over-under is 64.5. Andy, tell us all about the Missouri Tigers, buddy.
Well, I thought this game was at night, and I liked it a lot better at night for Missouri. I never like a night. It's 9 a.m. at LA time, but I never love a 9 a.m. Missouri game. And I'm always like, ugh. Because it's a great. It's also great. It gets your day over with, but also it can also ruin your day. Look, Mizzou is 5-0. This is the team of the love of my life, basically. This is tough, man. I hate that this game's in here. I hate it because, like, what is the truth and what I want to happen are two different things, right? Like, the dread I feel in this game is what happens all the time in these sort of games. They're going 5-0. I'm going to get excited. I think LSU is not as good as people think they are. I think Luther Burden, who's a wide receiver for Missouri, gets a lot of touches. I think he's the second best wide receiver in college football. I think he's an NFL ready type of dude. Like, he's just awesome and he's big. And I think he was the number one high school player coming out of St. Louis. He stayed in state. I think their quarterback Cook is actually a competent, good college quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to go to the next level and play, but he's good. He's pretty good. Their defense is better in Missouri than their offense, and that's not always been the case in the last decade of my life. The offense has normally been a great offensive team, average to bad defensive team. Like the last great defensive team was 2013. That was the last kind of really, truly great Missouri team. Look, I guess I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take the Missouri Tigers. I think they can do it. Like, do I want to bet? Well, I actually place an actual dollar of my real money on the Missouri Tigers? Probably not. Mainly because I just know how I've done this dance, Mikey. I know this dance. I put down money, they lose, I get mad. I'm like, why didn't I just bet the other side? Then when they lose, I'd be happy that I won, blah, blah, blah. So yep. I'm going to take the 6.5. I hope it gets to 7. And if you're going to bet that, you also should bet the Missouri money line.
Yeah, if you're going to take them at 7, take them on a money line. You got the Tigers, you got the over. Cole, where you at here, man?
I got to say, I don't think LSU is at the height of what they used to be. I think Missouri's doing better than they used to. So I think it's going to be a tighter game, but I still think LSU is going to go in there and win. I think it's going to be a 7-point game at least. So I'm going to take LSU on it, but I'm going to take the under.
You take the under? Well,
Yep.
I'll tell you what, I think there's something we're going to be similar on there. Listen, LSU, I got to tell you, is LSU overrated? I mean, are they overrated? Yes, man. Yes, they are. Is Brian Kelly overrated as a coach? Yes, in my opinion, yes. He is overrated as a coach. We are starting to see what we all thought. He bit off more than he could chew jumping into the SEC. Just stay at Notre Dame and win 10 a year and be a god, man. Like, we're starting to see that he's bit off more than he can chew. They're top 5 this year when they started the season based on what they did last year. Let's see what they did last year. Last year, they got beat by Florida State. They got blasted by Tennessee. They lost to a bad A&M team that was struggling to find themselves. They got blown out by Georgia. Top 5? Top 5? Come on, guys. And then they start the season this year, top 5. They got blasted by FSU. They lose to Lane Kiffin on the road in a shootout down the stretch at home. Nobody that's a Power 5. We talked about this on the show, Andy. Lane Kiffin 1-20 against Power 5 teams that have 9 or more wins. He blows that game. Top 5? They're overrated. I think they're so overrated. Now, yeah, they blew out my Grambling Tigers like 72 to something. But let me tell you what, at the end of the first quarter, that game was 14-10 against an FCS school. Top 5? No. I'm telling you right now, I think they're overrated. I'll give you another number 5 right now. Like you said, Andy, Mizzou is 5-0, and they just got rated 23rd. They just cracked the top 25 at number 23. Look, man, these guys are chomping at the bit. Drinkowitz got these guys drinking up the Kool-Aid down there. They think they're good. I think they're good. I think they're gonna show out in this game. And LSU, I'm just not a believer. Give me Missouri in the points, but I'm gonna take the under in this one. That's where I'm at, guys. I mean, Andy, I hope for your sake that it goes down that way, but top 5?
I'm with you. LSU's overrated. I'm with you.
Yeah, sure. I think so as well, man. I think so as well. All right, here's your moment now. Cole, we're going to let you go last on this one because this your boys here. This is a big game. Syracuse at North Carolina. North Carolina laying 8. The over-under is 60.5. Andy, what do you think?
I liked Syracuse last week, as you recall, against Clemson at home.
You did.
Kind of felt like it was a must-win for Syracuse because their schedule in the next couple of weeks is not great, right? They're going on the road this week, and they're at North Carolina. Then they're going on the road after that. Excuse me, and they're at Florida State, right? And then the schedule kind of softens, right? It does. They got their Wakes and their BCs and their whatever.
Sure. Sure.
I looked up recently Syracuse coach Dino, his record, right? Like his teams tend to, when they're good, they're really good, and when they're not good, they're not very good. Like they don't like. I think last year they were 7-6. Then they lost in the Pinstripe Bowl. But outside of that, he's got them good or bad, right? And this year's team seems to be good, like 9 wins good, 8-9 wins good. So, look, Syracuse burned me last week. I don't believe North Carolina is. I think the problem in North Carolina is they can score. It's just, can Syracuse score as much and keep it close, right? And it's what, 8.5. So what I'm really hoping is that Syracuse probably gets some sort of cheap, shitty touchdown in the end to kind of cover. So and kind of like, look, I think North Carolina is probably going to win. I think they're probably a little better, but I'm not really rooting for Mac Brown or Drake May. Like, kind of rooting for Syracuse because for some reason, like you bet on the team and then they lose, and you're like, I'm going to keep betting on them because I want to get that win with this team. This is kind of Syracuse. I lost last week. They were a home dog, and I was like, yes, this is Syracuse time. So anyway, I'm gonna take Syracuse to cover, and I'm gonna take the over. I think it's the only way they cover.
Cuse and the over. All right, man. On the record, look, the Orangemen, they've looked pretty good. They've looked pretty good this year. All right, they ran into a tough spot last week, man. You run into a great program who starts the season 0-2 in the ACC, and they got their back against the wall and a must-win. Nobody wants to be in that spot. You don't want to be in that spot, man. It was unfortunate for Syracuse to have to be in that spot, and they lost that game. The issue for me with Syracuse right now is Schrader's running the ball as much as Allen is. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's your quarterback. He's running the ball as much as your running back. They need to trust Allen a little bit. Let him run the ball a little bit more this week, because that's what they're going to have to do to win this game. They're going to need to run the ball and slow this thing down, because North Carolina is clicking. I mean, North Carolina, they're coming off the bye. They're rested, and they're rolling with some blowouts against good football teams. They blow out South Carolina earlier in the year. They blow out Minnesota. They blow out Pitt. Yeah, those teams aren't tearing their conferences up, but those are Power 5 teams that are usually upset specials in their conference, man. And they blow all three of them out. And the scary part to me is Drake May is not even playing. He's not even playing well yet. I mean, he's 5-4 touchdowns to interceptions right now, and that's in blowouts. That's not very good. But the big thing for them is Hampton at running back for North Carolina. Hampton, he's averaging almost 100 yards a game and has 7 touchdowns, and he's sitting the bench in the second half of all 4 of their games. I mean, think about that. He's putting up some numbers, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to hammer the ball like that. And as much as Syracuse wants to slow it down, man, I'm smelling a lot of points in this game. I think both teams might be able to score, but I'm smelling a lot of points in this game. I think they're going to catch Syracuse licking their wounds, man. I'm going to take North Carolina. I'm going to lay the whole 8, and I'm going to take the over in this game. Now, Cole, tell us why the Orangemen are going to pull this thing out.
Oh, man. Well, first off, I mean, I think you guys are right. I mean, with Dino and the way that he does stuff, he's a diamond in the rough kind of guy. He wants to find players that are not getting recruited the way that they should. And it's tough in Syracuse. I mean, if you're a guy that says, hey, do I want to go to Tulane or do I want to go to Syracuse? It's tough because one's a better location to live in than the other, right? So, like, I think that kind of plays into the whole idea of when they're good, they're good. When they're not good, they're not that good, right? Because sometimes you try to find these diamonds, and when they're diamonds, they're great. When they're lumps of coal, they suck, right? Sure. So I think this is one of those years where they've kind of got the pieces going. I think they're in the right direction. Obviously, I want to take Cuse. I mean, like, I don't ever want them to lose. No matter what, I think, like you said, I'm still on points too. I think I'm gonna take the over. I think Cuse is probably gonna lose, but I think it's gonna be less than 8.5. So I'm gonna take Cuse on the points.
There it is, man. Hey, the Orange Nation was waiting on you to say Cuse. For a minute there, they thought you were leaning toward the Tar Heels, man. What was happening?
You know what, man? I literally wrote it down on my notepad right here. I was like, take Cuse. Cuse. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, God, I just don't want to say it. Because I love Syracuse, and I always, like, since I've played there, I've always loved them, and I support the crap out of them. But I don't know. I'm gonna take Cuse on it, but I hope they win. I honestly, my hope is, I hope somewhere along the line in the game there's a couple turnovers, whether it be on a muff punt return or a pick 6 or a strip sack, whatever it is, right? I hope that is what is the difference, and that allows Syracuse to win, because I think that's what they're going to need, because they're going to need to win the turnover margin to win this game. You just can't anticipate that, so you don't know. Yeah, but that's my hope.
Yeah, well, listen, man, I'm going to tell you, it's great to have you on the show because you're handing out life lessons left and right, man. You don't have to get ready. If you stay ready is a life lesson. And this is another life lesson right here. It is not always about being right, man. It's about being loyal. And that's what it's all about right there, man. I love it. I'll take loyalty over being right any day of the week, man. Good call on your part. Hey, go Cuse. You know what I mean? And before we slide into the NFL here, we're going to kick it over to our sponsor, Sports Authority, and then Gordon Butterfield is going to tell us what just happened.
What just happened? Brought to you by the Sports Authority. At the Sports Authority, you can gear up to look just like a pro, from little tacks to full-grown adults. But they can't help you play like one if you're not any good. So don't suck. That's the Sports Authority, a Chapter 11 company. Premier League's Carlos Del Faciano has set up his brand new Sports Authority practice net, but his son wants to be the goalie and life lessons. The striker has struck. Oh my, that was intentional. Nice try, Carlos, but there's no secret here. Nobody wants their kid to be the goalie. And it appears this father knows his son, as we take a closer look at young Tito's reaction time. There appears to be a delay in the matrix. That boy's as quick as customer service. And that's how you catch a nickname. Nice job, Ricochet. What just happened?
As usual, Gordon, spot on the call, my friend. Let's jump into the NFL, guys. Our first game of the week here is over in London. Okay, we got the Jags and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are laying 5.5. The over-under is 48.5. And Cole, we'll start with you. Who do you like in this one?
I like Buffalo. I mean, plain and simple, I think their offense is rolling. I think they're doing really good. I like Andre Sisco as a safety, Q's alum at the Jags, but I don't think their defense is going to be enough to hold Buffalo at it. And I think it's going to be more than a one-score game. So plain and simple, I'm going to take Buffalo. And having said that, though, I am going to take the under. I don't think
the under.
Yeah, I think it's too many points.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of travel. I tell you, and that's kind of going to be my point on this thing is the Jags rocked Atlanta and Andy's bedroom last week, didn't they? I mean, they kicked their ass in Andy's bedroom, and they finally found some offensive rhythm there. And the key for the Jaguars right now is they hadn't. Now they have, but also like they've been in London for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like they're acclimated. They've been there. They know what's going on. But that being said, man, Josh Allen is back. That wake-up call from week 1, and he ain't playing no more. I mean, you're getting the torch from him every game lately. And I love the Bills in this one. I love the Bills on this business trip for them. I'm with you. I'm taking Buffalo. Lay the points all day long. This is no cartoon. Buffalo laying the 5.5, and I'm going to take the over in this one. I think it's going to be a ton of points. Andy, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think it was last week on the show, maybe, or 2 weeks ago. I said we should put some money down on Josh Allen for MVP.
You did.
Like 10-1, 9-1 at that time. Now, guess who is the leader in the clubhouse for NFL MVP? Josh Allen. So hopefully you got in there. Well, whoever was winning that game was going to be the leader, right? Tua would have been, or Josh Allen. So, a little bit about like that's also why, like, if you wanted, in my opinion, want to place a bet on Oklahoma or Texas to make, the Final Four or whatever, like this is the week to do it. Do it now before whoever wins the odds are gonna be much better, right? In college football. Look, the Bills are the type of team I want to bet against right now, right? Because they just came off a huge national profile game, and now they're laying 5.5. Like I'm like, ooh, boy, it makes it very itchy for me. Like I don't like to take. Also, the Jags are in London, staying in London. This is their second week in London. But I go back to the same thing we talked about last week, and when it was Jags Falcons. Outside of that, you never want to bet on Desmond Ridder when he's on the road. Like, just don't do it. He's not great. The favorite tends to dominate these sort of games. The team. So London doesn't really lie in that way. Like, I don't remember what it was. We talked about it last week, but it's something like 29-12-2 or,
Yeah.
Wins. And so I'm also going to take the Bills. I just think I'm not sure the Jags are that good, right? They put up 27 or 20 points on the Falcons and like there was an interception for a touchdown. Like something's wrong with the Jags offense, right? Ultimately, just right now, just a little bit, right? Because Trevor Lawrence, if you have like Trevor Lawrence or Etienne fantasy, you're not enjoying your time, especially if you have Lawrence. He's not having a great year. So for some reason in the red zone, they're not as efficient as you would like. Maybe they need Zay Jones back. Ridley's been okay. Ridley had a good week 1. And everybody's like, Ridley's back. And now you're like, is Ridley's been fine. He's not killing it. So anyway, I like the Bills, and I also will take the over as well.
All right, Bills, and also taking the over in this one. All right, listen, our next game, this one, we're going to go to you first on this one, Cole, because this is a little tied to your heart here as well. We got the Bengals at the Cardinals. Cardinals are a home dog getting 3, but we know where they sit as a football team right now. The over-under at 45. Who do you like in this one?
I mean, when you go into State Farm Stadium, it's a pretty rocking place. I mean, it's tough to go in there and get a win. But I mean, having said that, the Bengals look good. Joe Burrow's been doing pretty well. He's not prime Joe Burrow, but he's been playing pretty well. I think he's got all the tools. So I'm gonna take the Bengals. But having said that too, I mean, do I think they're gonna win by more than 3? Yes. Do I think they're gonna get the points? No. So I'm gonna take the under.
You're going to take the under on this one? Yeah. Well, especially with the way Burrow's been hampered. They have not been scoring points. Yeah. That is for sure. Andy, I know where you're at on this one, I think, but let me have it.
I love a home dog. I love a home dog. Is kind of – I also like this Arizona coaching staff. I think they're good. I think they're, legit good. Dobbs – look, anybody could have had Dobbs, right? And these guys have turned Dobbs into, it's all about getting chances, right? And no matter what your job is, whether it's the entertainment industry, football, you just need opportunity, and you get in the right setup with the right people. And Dobbs is in a nice little setup right now. He's getting an opportunity. Is Dobbs going to be the starting quarterback for the next 3 years, the Arizona Cardinals? Yeah, probably not. But it's an awesome story this year, and it's fun. I'm rooting for Dobbs. Having said that, I will say, if this number goes below 3, like a 2.5, I will take the Bengals. I think it's a love. It's such a short. The Arizona Cardinals have a lot of flaws. There's a lot of problems in Arizona, right? And these coaches are doing a great job of hiding them. The number's just too small, right? It's too small for me to take Arizona. If it was 6.5, 7 Arizona, I'd be like, yeah, here's $1 million on Arizona. But it's not. It's 3, and it's going lower, I think. I think people think Burrow's Burrow's been average, right? And T. Higgins is hurt. Now Boyd may have to play more. And then you got Jamar. I'm just going to take the Bengals. It's kind of my last stand with the Bengals, right? I'm going to take the 3, and I hate doing this because I'm continually betting public side. I'm just taking the over in these things. But I don't think Arizona can stop anybody. I think the Bengals I think points are going to be had. It seems like the score is going to be, to me, 31-24, 31-21, but I think it's going to be the Bengals. So, over Bengals.
All right, you shocked me. I thought you were going to be on the Cardinals in this one because the Bengals, they have been struggling hard, and Joey B does not look like Joey B, and there are rumors they might sit him down. He might not play in this one, guys. Now, I don't know if I believe that as much as you guys' faces are showing me. You don't believe it either. I don't know, but I mean, why not? They're not playing well right now. You don't need to Baker Mayfield this thing and let a guy keep talking you into letting him play when your team is not doing well, and then he hurts himself more, and then he's really out of whack. I mean, I don't know. They might set the guy down. They might not. But I know that before the season, I picked Arizona to go 0-17, and I put money on it. That's how bad I thought they were. I thought they were going to go 0-17. Their schedule looked like it. And then they knocked off the Cowboys, and Andy let me know all about it and how wrong I was. I think I'm switching sides here now. I think you made a good point a couple of weeks ago, Andy, that is sticking with me. The fact that Arizona has a new coach, and these guys, their record doesn't matter. They're playing for their jobs. They want to be asked back on the team next year. And now this team is starting to remind me a lot of Dabo's first year in New York, right? They weren't very good, but every game you turn on, even when they lost, you'd be like, God damn, man, the Giants are playing with a lot of effort. Those guys are playing hard. And right now, Arizona's starting to feel like that to me. So I don't know, man. I'm going to do it. I think they've been competitive. I think they're at home. I think they're feeling themselves a little bit. And I don't think Cincinnati's playing very well. And I don't see this as their get right spot. I'm going to go against you guys here, man. I'm going to take Arizona and the 3 points, and I'm going to take the under in this one. I'm being crazy across the board in this one. This is just, I got a gut hunch feel in this one. I'm going Cardinals +3, and I'm taking the under. I hope it doesn't burn me.
All I'd say is like Cincy needs this game badly. And it's like, to me, this is the one they have to like sell out for. Like they got to get it because the schedule is not kind. Like if they lose this one, then yeah, Burrow may be in trouble for the rest of the year. But they got to win. They got to win.
He may. Well, now it's time for the game of the week here, guys. Everybody's watching this one. It's the Cowboys and the 49ers at San Francisco. All right, Niners are laying 4. The over-under here is 45. And Andy, tell us what you think. You jump in first here, man.
Oh, gosh, what a tough game. You know, like I think when I think about the Cowboys' one loss to our beloved, this is an Arizona Cardinals podcast, I believe, our beloved Arizona Cardinals. Now, one thing, Dallas, their one weakness on defense, is they can't stop the run. Now, unfortunately for Dallas, the two best teams in the NFC run the football, and that is Philly and San Francisco. And Dallas is constantly spending their money, and not on like D tackles, they're spending their money on other bullshit in the defense. That's not helping them. On their defense is awesome. They just can't stop the run. So, Dallas, which is crazy because like if you put Dallas in like the AFC, I probably like Dallas coming. Like there's a lot of things because like the AFC teams tend to want to throw a little more, like Buffalo and Kansas City, you know, like blah blah blah.
True.
So in the NFC, it's not the case. The two best teams are Philly, and they have like 75 running backs who play all sorts of guys, and then San Francisco, who just runs through running backs like the Ravens do. So I'm gonna take the home team, and I think they're gonna run. And so they're gonna get Debo to run. Ayuk's gonna run. You know, McCaffrey scored a touchdown in like 14 consecutive games. Like I think that streak continues. So I'm gonna take the home team. I'm gonna take currently the better team, San Francisco, and they're gonna run all over Dallas, I think. And I'm gonna take the over. I think it's one of those games where points are gonna kind of sneak up on us a little bit. That, by the way, that's 6 overs for me, and I want to shoot myself because I took an over in every single game. It's such like a public play. I feel like such a noob, and I hate it. But I'm on the over this week, clearly.
Well, hey, I want to kill myself because I'm on like 5 unders, I think, and that's crazy. So, Cole, what do you think about this one, man?
Well, Andy, I think you're spot on. I mean, I think Dallas struggles with stopping the run. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is on fire right now. He's been doing really well. And I mean, when you look at the over under, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a 4-point game. I think 49ers are going to run it down their throat, and it's going to be a 2-3 score game. And on top of that, too, I mean, when you look at it for the over under, I mean, is it realistically going to be 24-21 because it's 45? Like, no, it's going to end up being, in my opinion, 2-3 score game. I take the 49ers at home just simply because I think they're a better running team.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And you think they're gonna blow them out, get over? Or you think this thing's gonna be tight, stay under? What do you think?
I think it's gonna be like a 1-score game, and then you go into the fourth quarter. Niners gonna score again, and then they're gonna try to do something crazy, and you're gonna get a pick. I think there's something's gonna happen at the end that kind of stretches it wider than it was, but I don't see Dallas going in there and doing much to them.
All right, you're gonna hit the over on that one then, huh? That's what you said. All right, sticking with the over. Well, hey, this is definitely the game of the week. If you're watching anything on TV or the radio this week, this is everything the media wants to be the NFC Championship game. They're already talking about them playing again in the NFC Championship game, and that's exactly how Philly and Detroit want it. That's exactly how we want it, but I digress. Let's move into the game we're talking about. This is straight up Dallas defense against 49ers defense, right? This is what the game is going to come down to. But to me, it's going to come down to who manages the game better, right? Who's going to make more mistakes? Is that going to be Purdy or is it going to be Mad Dak? And I know it's a shorter sample size with Purdy, but Purdy has shown that he's pretty good at not making mistakes. That's what he does, right? And Dak has shown us Dak can get a little gunslinger and he can make mistakes. And in a game that is going to be decided by whoever makes a mistake and not decided by the big play. I mean, this game's not going to be decided by big plays, gouge plays, and points. This is going to be decided by whoever makes the biggest mistake. And then you got to ask yourself, who's the better game manager? Is it Shanahan or is it, what about the clock, McCarthy? I mean, I think that's clear and simple. Like, McCarthy's a bad game manager. We would agree. We've talked about this a ton, Andy. McCarthy's a bad game manager, and Shanahan is a great game manager. So listen, I think that McCaffrey stretches the field on that Dallas defense. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Frisco's going to be able to run the ball. Ayuk's going to do what Ayuk is going to do. And at this point, this pick is brought to you by number 19 from San Francisco and the official beer of the DWMOD podcast, Old English 800. As my man Debo has a message from Micah Parsons. He said, Micah, what you got on my 40, man? Because the Niners are going to blast them. I'm going to take the Niners. I'm going to take them laying the points. But I also am going to take the under in this one. I think it will be pretty defensive, man. I'm going to agree with you on the under there. Andy, well, no, you guys were both on the over. I'm the only one on the under on that game. Yeah, so I'm with you. I might have to shoot myself. I got like 5 unders here. I don't know if that's going to be any good, man.
Well, the other thing is, like Dak is really good against bad teams. Like, he just beats the tar out of it. Like he did it last week, right? Against the Pats. Yep. Right? When Dak plays a good team, not as good. Yeah, it's just not as good. It's just, that's the thing. Makes me already want to take the under as I'm saying this out loud. But I'm sticking with the over.
Yeah, well, you're sticking with the over now. I wrote it down on the paper, so that's that. Hey, Cole, listen, big thanks to you for being on the show this weekend, man. Tune into USFL football, guys. Tune into the Michigan Panthers and see Money Murphy dropping 60-yarders on everybody, man. It is awesome to see you doing what you're doing and having known how hard you worked to do it and how, what it took to get there, brother. I can't thank you enough for doing the show, and I'm pulling for you big time, man. Good luck to you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you tune in this year, and who knows, I'm hearing the XFL and the USFL are going to merge, so maybe we'll have more games, and we'll be able to see Michigan play a little bit more. But thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Well, definitely. I'll be in touch, man, because I'm going to come to see a game in Birmingham. I promise you that, man. And we'll see you next time, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
It's time for another episode of All Right Bet.